Forgive me, God, for I have simped. Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Lenny. I typically cover pop culture, internet trends, TV, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. Today I'm going to be talking about a new reboot on Netflix called Rebelde. It is a reboot of a teen telenovela from the 2000s. Decidí no hacer este video en español porque todos mis videos son en inglés y no estoy acostumbrada a criticar programas en español. Y también tendría que poner subtítulos manualmente y no sé cómo hacer eso rápido, así que me da flojera la verdad. So I was really excited for this reboot. I was a fan of the band Rebelde more than the actual novela. But a couple years ago, I did go back and watch some old Rebelde episodes just to see what I missed out on, and it's really, really wild. It's really campy. It almost feels like a live-action anime to me. The reboot is a lot more modern, and I was excited to see how they were going to approach it. Let me start with the question, is Rebelde worth watching? The reboot specifically. Overall, I was pretty surprised by Rebelde, and I actually do recommend it. It's definitely not as campy as the original. I don't know if anything can be. But this reboot didn't take itself as seriously as like the Gossip Girl reboot, which was really intense. It's a very similar kind of show. It's also a reboot of a 2000 show that was very campy, Gossip Girl. It just felt like Rebelde still had some silliness incorporated. Telenovela like melodramatics that I'm used to and I like to see. The characters in Gossip Girl feel like they have very like adult problems or very just unrelatable problems. And in the Rebelde reboot, the teens at least have like regular high school problems. They're performing arts students, so their biggest problems are like getting into Battle of the Bands or winning Battle of the Bands or getting bullied and things like that. It's still like a rich people and elite socialite type school, but it's not like this weird adult world that like the Gossip Girl characters live in. So I recommend this show if you like teen dramas, if you like Mexican novelas. I mean, it's definitely not a novela. It's shot like a drama, very like high production value and nice looking. It is very Gen Z, very fun, has some really, really fun fashion. I think the music was also really good in the reboot. I think the original, although they had a band that came out of that show, they didn't feature music that much because telenovelas are just very different than shows nowadays. Novelas release episodes 5 times a week for over a year. The quality is not so great of the plot lines because it's just so much time. When I was rewatching Rebelde, the original, I was like waiting for the music all the time for them to play a song or anything, and they just didn't. I watched like a good 20 or so episodes into it and there was no music. I was just like, where are the songs? It's nice that in the reboot, since they're very limited, it only has 8 episodes, there's music incorporated into every episode, and it was really good. It was really fun. They redid a lot of the original songs, which you might like them or hate them depending if you liked the originals. I just liked hearing the songs modernized in general. They also do play instruments, so it's not cringy the way like Glee and acapella is as much. I mean, it's cheesy, very cheesy, but they play instruments, so it feels a little more like organic or like the music is really happening. So yeah, if you like high school drama shows like Gossip Girl, Elite gets compared to this show a lot, even though I haven't watched Elite, but it seems like a very similar vibe. If you also like shows with music like High School Musical, the series, Glee, I feel like I could see a lot of inspirations in various media. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but just if you like teen dramas, I would recommend this show. If you don't, then no. I mean, it's definitely a cheesy show. Overall, as a fan of these types of shows, I did enjoy it, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. The biggest criticism of the show right now is the lack of diversity, specifically like racially, because they did try to incorporate a lot more modern music into it, meaning a lot of reggaeton. It does have some LGBT diversity, which is nice, But as far as looks go, the cast isn't incredibly diverse. Very typical of Mexican media, unfortunately. So let's talk a little bit about the background of Rebelde. The reboot is fully in Spanish, and it consists of 8 episodes that are all around 35 minutes long. And like I said, it's a reboot of the Mexican telenovela of the same name, which apparently was a remake of an Argentinian novela. So the Mexican one was already a remake. The reboot dropped on Netflix on January 5th of 2022, and the original Rebelde debuted on October 4th, 2004. The most notable aspect of the original Rebelde is that the 6 main actors formed a band outside of the show called Rebelde, associated with the show, but it's the actors that are in the band. This group had great success in the Latin pop scene. In our reboot here, we have some nepotism in the cast. I'm not going to go through every name of the cast because this is already a long video, and I'm going to talk about the characters in the episodes, but one of the main characters is the daughter of Omar Chaparro, who's like a actor, a comedian from Mexico. He was also in the Detective Pikachu movie randomly, and she plays MJ. Her name is Andrea Chaparro. And then we have, oh my god, so immediately when I saw him in the show, I was like, oh my god, Rebelde got this Cole Sprouse lookalike to make a Cole Sprouse type character, but even hotter. And then I looked at him for 2 more seconds and I was like, holy shit. This is the son of the most beautiful woman to ever live, Ruby, Barbara Mori. It looks like she cloned her face, and this is Sergio Mayer Mori, who plays Esteban in Rebelde. I was just shook because I was like, oh no, he is just so beautiful. Like, if you don't know Ruby, it was a novela in Mexico. It debuted in the same year actually as the original Rebelde. She is just like a cutthroat villain. I think a lot of people are familiar with Teresa, which is a similar story and novela as Ruby, but Ruby was just so much better, I thought, and Barbara Mori's portrayal of her was just so amazing. I unfortunately became an instant simp of this man. If this show had come out when I was a teen, man, my standing of this man would be very unhealthy. But I did find out some tea on him. It's wild because they cast him in a very Cole Sprouse and Riverdale type role. Y'all know my first crush ever was Cole and Dylan Sprouse when I was a kid. But I have heard that Cole Sprouse is kind of a jerk behind the scenes, and he's a very pretentious guy. And this guy, Sergio, from my research, it sounds like he's an even bigger jerk. He's been involved in a few controversies. Last year, in May of 2021, he actually on live admitted that he doesn't like RBD or any of their songs. Basically, he hates the material that he is cast in, which is so funny. Like, I don't see this. I get why this is a controversy, and I bet a lot of the cast feels like this. He was just dumb enough to say it and pretentious enough to say it, honestly. He basically said on live that everyone's always requesting him to sing RBD songs, and yes, I have to sing those songs because that's in my contract, but I hate RBD. That's the reality. I don't like the songs. I never understood the hype, basically. That's a rough translation of what he said. And then he had to issue a whole apology later on to the cast and the crew and the show and the fans. I find this kind of thing kind of funny when actors hate the material they're in. I think Robert Pattinson is famous for this, hating Twilight. I think the guy from The Kissing Booth hates The Kissing Booth as well. I do think men definitely get a bigger pass, even though this did cause controversy for this guy. They feel more free to express this negativity. Though I do think Kristen Stewart also hated Twilight and wasn't too secretive about it at the time. I think it's just funny that they play these characters and then think they're very stupid. Because they are. And of course, these actors are gonna, Anyway, final thing I'll say about Sergio Mayer Mori, I found out that he has a child, and the circumstances about this were super weird and kind of creepy, and that's a whole other video. It's not really part of this. He had a child at 18 with a model that was 10 years older than him. That's a whole other video. So let me go ahead and get into the episode's discussion. This is your spoiler alert. First, I'm going to go into like the overall plot, and then I'm going to go into each character. There's a lot of characters though, because there is 6 main cast, 3 boys and 3 girls. So right off the bat, when I started episode 1, I was like, did I turn on Squid Game? Because what the fuck is this? It's like violence and scary shit and kidnapping type imagery, and I was scared. But then it does like a time jump. And this season we're following 6 incoming freshmen of this elite high school. They're all performing arts students and generally come from wealthy families. This is also a boarding school, so they do sleep at the school. This is all taking place in the universe of the original Rebelde. They have this shrine type glass case in the hallway that has a bunch of Rebelde things in it, which was cute. They also reference Mia Colucci, played by Anaí from the original. We don't see her pop up, but she is referenced as being this kind of queen bee that a lot of the girls are trying to be now. Throughout season 1, the students are trying to get into the elite music program at the school, plus also win Battle of the Bands to get like a record deal or just like the prestige that comes with that. On the first night, the freshmen get hazed, and this is the end of episode 1, and I was just like, I don't know if this was on purpose, but I found the hazing part to be really hilarious. Hazing is not funny, like in real life. I don't approve of hazing. It's just funny because these bullies with masks kidnap them. It's really aggressive, really violent, the stuff we saw at the beginning. They take them to the band rehearsal room and they make the 6 main characters play a song for them, and that's the initiation. They put the Rebelde uniforms on them and they make them play the song Rebelde, and the hazers or the bullies are just like, entertain us. And it's just like, to me, this hazing is very nice. They try to make it humiliating by putting the pink cowboy hat on the main girl. If you're gonna put 6 performing arts students together into a band and make them play a song for you, that's not the worst punishment you can give to performing arts students. Like, they end up doing bad at first and then they do good because they like what they're doing. And then the bullies, somehow surprised that the performing arts students did good, they start fighting with each other and are mad at each other, I guess, for choosing this weird non-punishment. They knock over their weird cult ceremony candles and the whole room lights up on fire. And at first I was like, why is the fire in the whole room? But I remembered earlier in the scene they had like splashed liquor on them, so maybe that's why the whole room caught fire. But after this fire, only the main characters get caught at the scene of the crime. These 6 main characters take a while to become friends. The 3 girls are roommates and the 3 guys are roommates, and they sort of develop relationships with each other, but ultimately they end up forming their band called Sin Nombre in order to compete in the Battle of the Bands competition at the end of the season. Our main character is named Hannah. She is kind of like a childhood pop star / one-hit wonder. She has a demanding mom that went to elite way school back in the 2000s and was bullied. I don't remember her from the original show, but the main characters were bullying everybody. So Hannah is coming in as a freshman. She's trying to shed her previous pop persona, but she is coming in with a boyfriend who is a senior at the school named Sebas. Sebas is this villainous type guy throughout the season who is the son of a prominent political figure, so he has a lot of like influence on the school. He kind of reminds me of the creepy thin man from Charlie's Angels. But he seems very obsessed with using Hannah for like his own clout. Like, he tries to make the hashtag Habas happened, like them two. However, when Hannah meets Esteban, they have instant chemistry. But who wouldn't have instant chemistry with Esteban? After the fire, Hannah takes the blame for the fire since only the 6 of her friends were caught and only she gets to not audition for the music program at the school. Her relationship with Sebas also gets tumultuous while her chemistry with Esteban just keeps increasing. Hannah is always trying to catch Sebas doing something shady. She keeps almost finding evidence that he is part of a secret society at the school, but then ends up not getting the evidence until the end. And this secret society at the school is actually from the original novela. There's a secret society called La Logia. The subtitles, it said The Lodge. La Logia is a secret society that bullies poor people at the school. Hannah and some other of the main characters suspect that Sebas is the leader of La Logia, but they can't prove it, so they're trying to prove it the whole time. She eventually breaks up with Sebas. She knows that he's been cheating on her, and right after they break up, she hooks up with Esteban during the earthquake drill, and we got a sex scene. Y'all know I'm not a fan of sex scenes in teen shows, but let me tell you, once Hannah relieved her sexual tension with Esteban, she was apologizing to everybody about everything, because she had kind of been ignoring the rest of the group to be with Sebas. She's also generally kind of bossy with their band. That's her big issue. Like, they're always having issues with her being too bossy and too much of a leader of their band. After the band Sin Nombre misses their audition due to some other plot things, Hannah throws a party at her mansion to try to get the band's name out there. She also wants to get Sebas drunk to like confess and have evidence. That's one of her great plans that don't end up working out. Towards the end, the band really gets annoyed with her being too bossy, and she finally just leaves the school. She goes back to her glamorous pop star life, what privilege, but then thinks of another plan to catch Sebas and comes back to the school. She particularly asks Luca, who is kind of a villainous but not, he's kind of an anti-hero. Another character we have is Esteban that I've talked about a little bit. He is Hannah's love interest, and he is a poor guy. He's the only poor person with a single dad. He's also like a musical genius, like he can hear notes and play by ear and all that. Esteban is really nice to Luca all the time, which I thought he was too nice, but he kind of has ulterior motives because he is actually at the school to try to find out about his mom, who is a big mystery for him. He knows that Luca was a music student of his mom before. This musical talent of Esteban is quite insane, to the point of impossible, I think. There's a point where Dixon, his best friend, says something like, if I were you, I'd be deciphering people's PIN numbers, knowing like the sound of the keys. Esteban says, oh, that's impossible, but then proceeds to record Luca typing in his password on his MacBook, and then ends up hacking the MacBook by having that recording and using his musical genius, which maybe if you're a musical genius, comment below, is this possible? Because I don't think it is. Honestly, Esteban doesn't have much of a personality. I think he's just kind of like the perfect kind of guy. Him and Sebas have a lot of tension because Esteban is into Hannah, who is Sebas' girlfriend in the first half of the show. And there's a part where Esteban sings like a beautiful song on the piano, and then Sebas comes up to him after like, who inspired you? And Esteban, without hesitation, he's like, tu novia. Like, your girlfriend. I was like, the audacity? That was the only time he showed much personality, to be honest. He spends like 2 or 3 episodes just staring at Luca in like a menacing way. I think it was dragged out a lot. Eventually he confesses to Luca what he's after, like finding his mom, and Luca kind of helps him in exchange for helping him with his dirty stuff that he's doing. Luca blackmails Esteban into helping him out with his dirty deeds to sabotage their band. There's also one point where Luca sends La Logia, the secret society, to beat up Esteban so that the band can't audition properly for Battle of the Bands. It's really scary. He gets beat up. He has like a bruise. Once Luca gets him to sabotage the band again later on in the season, Esteban just runs away to go find his mom because he has that information he needs. He finds his mom, who is working as a singer. He confronts her about abandoning him. She just makes a bunch of excuses, doesn't really help things out. She tells him that his father's not his real father, and Luca's father is, I called this Esteban's father, which I was like, immediately, there was a point in episode 1 where Esteban ran after Luca's dad, who's like a very important guy, member of the school board kind of guy. Esteban runs after him and is like, what do you know about Rocio, or whatever his mom's name is. Luca's dad is like, shut up, like, just dismisses him and gets mad. In the end, Esteban and Luca are brothers. They're both Colucci's, which means they're related to Mia Colucci, who is the protagonist of the original Rebelde. So let's talk about Luca, because Luca is a big part of all of this. He's an anti-hero. He's a rude-ass guy. He's a lot like Draco Malfoy. Like, I feel like Draco is the main inspiration for this character, except Luca has a lot more tension with his father because his father wants him to go to business school. Luca is also Argentinian. He has an accent. It was hard for me to understand. Once you start talking about vosotros this and vos that, I'm not quite all there with Spanish, but he was always making sassy remarks and being generally very rude. We also find out at the beginning that he is gay. It also sounds like Hannah at a past event, like in their past, kind of outed him to a lot of people, which makes him have this animosity with her a bit. When everyone's trying to form their bands to compete in Battle of the Bands, he's over here trying to audition people for his band when like literally no one auditions for him and he has no friends, so it's like really awkward. He's very much like a loner, but his pride is just so intense that like he doesn't even have like cronies like Draco Malfoy does. Throughout the season, he starts getting anonymous messages from La Logia, the secret society. Since Luca has a famous last name, Colucci, La Logia wants to recruit him kind of and is making him do a bunch of things to sabotage Sin Nombre, the band that he's in. He's low-key trying to make rifts between the band all the time. He's trying to turn them against each other, but in a way that they don't realize. La Logia, who's sending him anonymous text messages, is promising him that he is going to win Battle of the Bands if he does everything they say. Whenever the group is fighting, he's like, I'm the only honest one here. I'm an open book, which is a total lie. Like, he is the most shady of all of them and having the most secrets. Like, he's literally being puppeteered by a secret society. Once he's done a lot of La Logia's dirty tasks, he kind of gets ghosted by them for a while, and then eventually they all gather him and unmask in front of him and say he is officially in the secret society. Ultimately, Luca decides to like do a double cross moment where he says he's with the good guys and says he's with the bad guys, and you start losing track of which side he's on, but he ends up with the good guys and helps the good guys catch La Logia. And once La Logia and all the members are exposed to the principal, Luca's father, who is like the president of the school board, comes in and is like, well, we can expel everyone except Sebas because he's the son of a famous politician, but if you want, you can expel Luca though, which is savage. Like, his own son, he throws him under the bus and is like, let's expel him instead of the leader of the secret society. But in the end, because of Luca and his help, Sebas ends up getting exposed. Sin Nombre goes up on stage to play, but instead of playing, they airdrop the evidence to everybody in the room, in the auditorium. They all find out that Sebas is the leader of La Logia, and now the dad can't really cover for him. It wasn't even Sebas' dad, it was like Luca's dad covering for Sebas. This is the kind of family drama that Harry Potter was missing, honestly. It's a staple of a novella that some of the main characters are going to be related at some point. Next, let's talk about MJ, who is one of the girls. She is a Californian. She has strict religious parents, and she expresses herself in English a lot of the time. Y'all know I always have to find the character that I relate to the most in these shows, and MJ is my representative in this one. Because she is from the US and studying in Mexico, like, I just related to her expressing herself better in English, but still speaking Spanish. I don't know. She is into Esteban at first and does kiss him because she misread his body language, but once they clear that up, she moves on from him. I really liked MJ's performances in the show. She probably had my favorite performances. I really loved her audition where she started with piano and then had the beats, and her voice was just so good in that. But then also at the party was kind of a big shining moment for MJ. She sang a duet with Dixon first. That was kind of like a reggaeton song. It's probably a famous song. Sorry, I don't know it. And then she sang a Selena song, Si Una Vez, which was super good. At that party, they're trying to use her as bait for Sebas to like be interested in her in order to get him to confess his shadiness, but it doesn't end up working. MJ's very innocent also and sheltered about parties, so this is like her first party, the first time she's drinking, so she obviously drinks too much and she almost drowned in the hot tub. Dixon was the one looking out for her, making sure she was okay, and saved her from that. But she has a lot of tension with Hannah, first because of the Esteban thing, and second because they're both good vocalists for the band, so there's a little bit of like a artistic tension there. Eventually, MJ confesses to the group that she lied to her parents, saying that she was going to a super religious school, and her family is always checking up on her, making sure she's being super religious. At the end, MJ's family comes in and like catches her not being at a religious school like she said. They actually discovered that she is a hoe in their eyes because her video of singing the Selena song went kind of viral. MJ's parents tell her they're gonna take her out of this school, and she tells them to give her one chance to showcase her talents at Battle of the Bands and have them come witness her talents, and hopefully that'll convince them that she can stay. The parents come into the final show like looking around. You would think these people are Amish, like they don't know. It's like they've never seen the modern world. It's super weird. They're scandalized by everything. Sin Nombre has the plan to go up on stage and not perform, and instead they want to expose the secret society. MJ's future at the school relies on her performing at this, so she notices that Emilia, who was Sebas's duet partner for Battle of the Bands, drops out last minute. So Sebas doesn't have a partner for his song, and MJ steps in and performs that instead of performing with her band. After this performance, her parents are very like, "Aw, she has talent," which is classic Mexican parents. They hate what art you do until you succeed at it, and then they're like, "This is great, keep going." Now let's talk about Dixon, who is MJ's love interest and Esteban's best friend, and he's part of the band. He is Colombian, he's a rapper. He comes from a wealthy family, but he pretends he's from the streets in order to give himself street cred for his rapping or reggaeton career. At the school, he gets bullied for being Colombian. I think he's an important representation of how artists often pretend to be less wealthy than they are. They pretend to not come from the wealthy backgrounds they do. I think a lot of our faves do this more than we think. Dixon likes MJ early on, but she takes a while to notice him. Dixon gets really close with Esteban, and he thinks that he's so obsessed with Luca because maybe he's bisexual, and he's very like, "It's okay, I'll accept you if you're bi, like why are you so obsessed with Luca?" But Esteban confesses that he's trying to find his mom and all that, and Dixon is really nice. He has really good relationships with everybody. He's really like a real one, aside from his lying about his own background. He has suspicions early on about the secret society, so he's just kind of a bro to everybody. Luca is the only one that clocks him being actually rich because he identifies like a fancy painting at Hannah's mansion. And Luca's like, "You're not poor." Like, eventually Luca does expose him in the last episode to everyone, and it's like, this guy's not poor, he's lying to you. At the party, he helps Hannah put like a secret camera to catch Sebas, and this is the stupidest hidden camera I've ever seen. It's literally like, you can see it it's not hidden. He's also so worried for MJ at the party when she's gonna be bait for Sebas, which rightfully so. He's very protective of her, and he sort of alludes to that later on, and then finally in the final episode they do kiss. They had the most will they won't they moments of the season. And finally, in our main characters, we have Andy, who is an edgy drummer girl. She is a lesbian. I don't know if she said it blatantly, but I think it's made to be understood she is. She's kind of the most like actual rebelde one. Like, she's a rebellious one, like to her parents. She gets caught with a vape at the beginning, and she throws the middle finger up at them, and you know, she's edgy. She's not like other girls. She quickly has chemistry with the school's mean girl, Emilia, who is another antagonist we have, though she's not as villainous as the people in the secret society. Emilia is Brazilian. She has a really strange accent that at first I thought was German or Swedish or something. I don't know if this is how all Brazilians sound, or like a Portuguese accent in Spanish. It was very like, I don't know what the hell she's saying, but girl, I am living. Emilia had like the best outfits and fashion, and she was like a bitchy mean girl, so she was fun. Andy tries to join Emilia's band at first when they're all trying to form bands, and Emilia rejects her and is like, "I'm just trying to win." So they have a flirtation from early on. They start kind of texting a little bit. Emilia and Andy kiss, and they start kind of a DL relationship because Emilia is pretending to date Sebas at this point in the season just for the performance of it. But Emilia and Andy progress their relationships. They hook up at the party, and Emilia says it's her first time with a woman, which is kind of a tender, vulnerable moment for her. Towards the end, Andy tries to get information about La Logia through Emilia because she's so close to Sebas but isn't part of the secret society. So she hears some things, and Andy does get some valuable tea. Sebas always smells like old lady, and it's because he's hooking up with the secretary of the school, which is wild, but I'll get to that. Andy gets this valuable piece of information that helps everyone piece things together about who is in the secret society, including the secretary lady is part of the secret society. At the end, Andy breaks up with Emilia because she's tired of the DL thing. Once Emilia finds out everything and Andy breaking up with her and all that, she dedicates a song from one of the other bands at the school to Andy and brings her out on stage to kiss her in front of everybody so that it's public like she wanted. Well, at the very end, Sin Nombre exposes the secret society and the audience calls for them to perform because they're already on stage. They come out in bedazzled Rebelde uniforms, kind of like School of Rock almost. It reminded me. They debuted their new name, which is just Rebelde, which okay. I'm confused. The naming of the band, it was rough on this show. It was sad because at the end, the band, formerly Sin Nombre, now Rebelde, they didn't perform with MJ because MJ performed with Sebas, and I was kind of sad about that. At the end, they all just kind of leave for vacation, and the secret society is no more, we think. Let me get into some critiques I had. First of all, one of the bullies mentions Lady Gaga as an insult to Luca, and Luca says that reference is old and outdated and Lady Gaga's out, which this is rough for me to stomach. I did not like that shade at Lady Gaga. She won an Oscar in 2019. She's about to win one in 2022. I hope I don't eat my words on that. There was one episode where they had to re-record Rebelde songs as their assignment for that week. Sin Nombre, the band, got Sálvame, which is a really great song. This song is iconic. It has an iconic music video with snow and a pink cowboy hat, and if you know, you know. They had to re-record the song and modernize it, and they had to shoot a music video for it. They were like, this is gonna be so emotional. We wanna tap into the emotion, and all they did for the music video was like this one part with black and white headshots of them where they looked like they were nude, like meaning they were like naked, like vulnerable, just like shoulders up, not like nudity, and they looked emotional. And one girl it was Andy shed a tear in that shot, and I was like, this was their big emotional idea for Sálvame. I was underwhelmed by how they oversold the emotion on this song, but it ended up being pretty basic and cheesy, like cliche. Something that annoyed me was the admin lady's character, the secretary. Her name was Anita. She was sleeping with Sebas. She's a full adult working in the administration of the school. I'm so over the narrative in these shows of the teacher sleeping with the student. Like, they try to make it hip because he's of age, he's 18, and she's, you know, youthful-ish looking, but they always glamorize it, and it's gross. Why does it happen in every single teen show? I'm just so tired of it. In general, I found Luca and his motivations with the blackmailing and the anonymous texts, his motivations were weird because it was like they were promising him that if he does what they say, he will win Battle of the Bands, when he could have just put an effort with his band to win Battle of the Bands. And it's just like, he could have won that way anyway. It just felt weird that that was his only motivation. And then at the very end, when he helped Hannah actually catch La Logia, it was so anticlimactic. Like, it was like a blink and you miss it moment when they finally caught all of the secret society people. I was like, the whole season built up to this, and it was just like a few quick shots, like montage. And like I said, I didn't like how MJ's character ended up in the finale. I felt like she should have joined her original band, since they were just kind of performing for the audience. The contest had kind of gone to shit because a lot of exposing happened, and I don't know if they were still judging it, but I just was sad MJ didn't perform with her band. It felt like the final performance was incomplete. Another critique is about Esteban's character, and he's just too perfect as a character, to the point of like his personality is very boring. The only thing he has is his musical genius that is very hard to believe. Otherwise, he's just so basic. He feels like he was just made in a teen girl fantasy factory, and he's just like the perfect guy, perfectly nice, perfectly humble, and perfectly hot, and that's it. Also, I was so mad that his mom wasn't played by his actual mom, Barbara Mori, who is an actress, and she's around, maybe? Like the gag that would have been when he's trying to find his mom this whole time, and I was just like, imagine if it's Ruby. Sadly, no. Finally, the biggest criticism, which is the one I've seen out there as well, is the lack of diversity, which I touched on before. There's a lack of diversity racially, especially when you're talking about incorporating reggaeton and rap, which are genres pioneered by like the Black community. So it feels a little appropriative that like a white guy is doing all of the rapping and he's like the good rapper guy. On top of the lack of racial diversity, there was no body diversity, which I think was a missed opportunity for the reboot, since the original Rebelde had so much fat phobia in it. Like, it's insane. And it's wild because there was one character in the original who was best friends to Mia Colucci. Her name was Selena. She was not super thin like everyone else on the show, and Mia, her friend in the show, was always making fat shaming type jokes at her. It's cringy to watch now. It's bad. Selena, the actress and the character, came back in the reboot, and she's the principal of the school now, which is really cool. When I saw her, I was like, yay, Selena came back. You have Selena there to represent, like, I don't know, at least compensating a little for the fat phobia in the original, and they could have had a lot of body size diversity with the cast, and they just didn't. There was a bully who was bigger, and they made fat phobic comments at him too. They offered him candy, and that got him to snitch on his other bully friends. And I'm just like, that's so fat phobic of this show to make it so like the chubby guy was motivated by food. It's just so rude, and like they haven't learned anything from how bad the original was. So let me get into some of the positives. I think my favorite thing about this show was the music. I think they did a really good job. Like, there was one part where they were all sneaking out at night and they played Physical by Dula Peep in the background. I loved it. But they also chose good covers. They covered like a Jessie Joy song. They covered Rebelde. They covered Baby One More Time. Yes, they covered Baby One More Time. They covered Selena's song, like I said, Si Una Vez. They also show some of the other bands at the school that have different styles. There's like a pop band, there's like a folky band, there's like a rock band at the school. And it's funny, they all think it's cringy when they have to sing Rebelde songs. The characters do. They have very Gen Z attitudes about everything. But the Baby One More Time performance was so good. They were like dressed like the Matrix for some reason. And they played this song while Esteban's getting beat up in the other room. So it's like, hit me baby one more time, and he's getting hit, and I was just like, oh, I get it, hit me, hit. And it was kind of a wild juxtaposition, but it was just very unexpected that they sang that song. They also did a really cool medley of RBD songs. I also really liked this side background character girl. She had like curly hair, and she was in a different band from the main one, and she was always making shady comments in the background. She was like talking about how Esteban was so hot, and she said it was like watching her parents get back together when Emilia and Seba started dating again in the middle of the season. I also liked how they depicted social media and when MJ went viral for her Selena performance. Andy showed her the comments, and she was like, look, you have a lot of hate comments. That means you made it for real. And I just like that, because whenever you see someone go viral in these shows, it's very like everyone's positive, and that's not how the internet works. That's not how social media works. So I was happy they represented, you know, that she had haters on her viral video. That felt more authentic to like an actual viral thing. Also, the Gen Z fashion was really, really fun on this show. They had some really kooky outfits and fun makeup. They also like modified the uniforms all the time in really cool ways. Emilia's makeup looks and outfits were some of my favorite. Also loved Andy's outfit. She was wearing platform Crocs in one scene. I live. This whole show was like sponsored by the new, I don't know if it's a new razor or what, but that modern like flip phone, smartphone thing. This show made that phone seem so glamorous. I did want it from the beginning, but they made the flip phones look so cute. So that's all I have for my thoughts on the Rebelde reboot. Let me know what you thought of it, or if you plan to watch, or what were your favorite parts, your favorite characters, who do you relate to the most? I told you mine. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos twice a week about pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!